55 children diagnosed with ADD or ADHD went through a 4-month simplification program. No medication, just less. 68% moved from clinically dysfunctional to fully functional. Welcome to Whispering Pages. If you're here just for the summary, skip to the next chapter. For the rest of us, let's ease in. Let the decisions of the day belong to today. Nothing needs you now. The pre-sleep brain is especially receptive. What you hear tonight consolidates while you rest. Tonight's book is Simplicity Parenting by Kim John Payne, published in 2013, a research-backed case for why less, in your child's world, almost always leads to more. So let's begin. Get comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like. And let's whisper through this one together. Before Kim John Payne became one of the most quietly influential voices in modern parenting, he spent years working in some of the world's most difficult places. He worked in refugee camps. He counseled children who had lived through war, displacement, and loss. And in those camps, he saw something he didn't expect. Children who had almost nothing, and yet who showed remarkable resilience, remarkable calm. Then he came back to the West, back to homes full of toys, schedules packed with activities, kitchens stocked with every food imaginable. And he noticed something that unsettled him deeply. Many of the children he encountered here, children with every advantage, were showing symptoms that looked a lot like the children in those camps. Anxiety, difficulty focusing, emotional volatility, a kind of low-grade stress that never quite resolved. He called it cumulative stress reaction. Not a single trauma, but an accumulation. Too much stuff. Too many choices. Too much speed. Too much information seeping in from the adult world before children are developmentally ready to hold it. That observation became the foundation of simplicity parenting. And the core argument is both simple and quietly radical. Childhood is not meant to be optimized. It's meant to unfold. And when we pile too much into it, with the best of intentions, we interrupt that unfolding in ways that have real consequences. Here's the thing that grounds the whole book. Payne isn't speaking philosophically. He ran a study. 55 children with diagnoses of ADD or ADHD. No medication changes. Just simplification, reducing their home environment, their schedules, their exposure to adult concerns. 4 months later, 68% had moved from clinically dysfunctional to functional. And alongside that, there was a 36.8% increase in academic and cognitive ability. That's a number that stops you. He's not saying medication is wrong. He's saying that some of what we're labeling as disorder may be a reasonable response to an unreasonable amount of stimulation. The book is organized around what Payne calls 4 pillars of simplification. They are your child's environment, the rhythms of daily life, your child's schedule, and filtering the adult world. Each pillar is a different way that modern life has quietly overwhelmed childhood. And each one offers something practical, something you could begin this week, or even tonight. But before we get into those pillars, Payne makes a point worth sitting with. He says that when a child is struggling, acting out, resisting, anxious, unable to focus, our instinct is usually to do more. More enrichment, more therapy, more intervention, more attention. And sometimes that's exactly right. But sometimes, what the child needs is less. Fewer options, less noise, more predictability, more room to just be. There's a story early in the book about a 5-year-old girl named Marie. She was struggling to focus at daycare to the point that the staff had asked her parents to consider other arrangements. Her room at home had somewhere in the range of 300 toys. Her parents, guided by Payne's approach, stripped it down dramatically, keeping only a small fraction, things that were simple, open-ended, and beloved. Within days, Marie was calmer. Within weeks, she was spending hours at a time building imaginary houses with cloth and clothespins. The daycare concern quietly disappeared. That's not magic. That's what happens when a child's nervous system is no longer managing constant novelty and decision fatigue. The first pillar is environment. And the starting point is almost always toys. The average American child receives around 70 toys every year. Payne's suggestion is to reduce by half, and then half again. Not because he's being austere, but because when there are fewer things, each thing becomes more meaningful. The imagination has to do more work. And that work is exactly what childhood is for. He offers a clear list of what to remove first. Broken things, toys with only one fixed function, character-based merchandise, high-stimulation electronic toys, and anything the child has long outgrown. What remains should be simple, open-ended, and capable of being used in a dozen different ways. Blocks, building materials, dress-up clothes, art supplies, dolls and figures that don't come preloaded with a story. The things you're not ready to let go of? Put them in boxes. Store them out of sight. See what your child actually reaches for over the next month. Payne calls this a toy library, a rotation system where things come and go, keeping the environment fresh without overwhelming it. And the simplification doesn't stop at toys. It extends to books, keeping only a handful of current favorites rather than a wall of options. To clothes, current season, current size, nothing more. To sensory inputs, the brightness of lighting, the number of scents in a room, background noise. Children's nervous systems are more sensitive than ours. What feels like normal ambient life to us can feel like a lot to them. Once the environment is simpler, the second pillar Payne turns to his rhythm. And this is where the book becomes unexpectedly beautiful. Rhythm is not a schedule. That distinction matters. A schedule tells you what happens at what time. A rhythm is something deeper. It's the felt pattern of a day, the sense that mornings feel a certain way and evenings feel a certain way, and that this is reliable, day after day. Children don't experience time the way adults do. They don't have a calendar in their heads tracking what's coming next week. What they have is a felt sense of what comes next. And when that felt sense is trustworthy, something in them relaxes. Payne talks about a 6-year-old named Justin. Every morning, getting dressed was a battle. His parents tried everything: reasoning, consequences, rewards. Nothing worked consistently. What Payne noticed was that Justin's days were unpredictable. He often didn't know until the last moment where he was going or who he'd be with. His resistance to getting dressed wasn't defiance. It was a kind of reasonable protest against a world that felt unreliable. The intervention was simple. Each evening, before bed, one of his parents would sit with him and briefly preview the next day. Not a full briefing, just a few sentences. Tomorrow we'll have oatmeal for breakfast. You'll go to school, and I'll pick you up after. Then we'll come home and have some time outside before dinner. Within weeks, the morning battles faded. Nothing else had changed. Justin just knew what was coming. This is what rhythm offers children. Not rigidity, but reliability. And Payne is careful to say that the goal isn't a military household, it's a household with a felt shape. Meals happen around the same time. Bedtime follows a consistent sequence. Weekends have a recognizable character. He encourages building what he calls pressure valves into the daily rhythm, 2 or 3 moments of calm built into each day. An after-school snack eaten together, without screens or rushing. A few minutes of quiet before dinner. Time outside after school where nothing is required. These aren't luxuries. They're release points. Without them, pressure accumulates across the day and surfaces as meltdowns or shutdown. The evening rhythm is especially important. Payne is a strong advocate for bedtime stories, not just for young children, but for children much older than we typically think. And he makes a point that surprises many parents. Repetition is not boring to children. When a young child asks to hear the same story 5 nights in a row, they are not stuck. They are deepening. The story becomes theirs. The familiar words become a kind of anchor. He also notes something that functions like a benchmark for almost every parenting challenge: sleep. Children need far more of it than most families protect. Children between 2 and 6 need around 11 hours. Children between 6 and 11 need around 10 hours. Teenagers need 11 to 12. When those hours are consistently short, everything else, focus, emotional regulation, behavior, becomes harder. Rhythm, more than almost anything else, protects sleep. The third pillar is schedules. Not rhythm, the daily felt shape of life, but the calendar, activities, commitments, lessons, sports. Here Payne uses an agricultural metaphor that lands quietly but stays with you. A farm that grows the same crop every year, in every field, without rest, eventually depletes the soil. Traditional farming used crop rotation. Some fields grew crops. Some grew legumes that replenished the soil. Some were left fallow, empty, resting, building up what had been taken. Children's time works the same way. Some of it should be structured and goal-oriented. Some of it should be creative and exploratory, deep play, building something, making something, pretending something. And some of it should be genuinely empty. Not scheduled. Not optimized. Just open. Payne worries that modern childhood has nearly eliminated the fallow field. We've replaced free time with enrichment. And he points to the data. Children in the United States lost more than 12 hours of free time per week over the past 2 decades. Homework for children between 6 and 8 more than doubled in that same period. Over 52 million American children are now enrolled in organized sports leagues. None of those individual decisions are obviously wrong. But taken together, they add up to a childhood with almost no unstructured space. And unstructured space is where some of the most important development happens. It's where boredom turns into curiosity, where children discover what they actually like, where they learn to manage themselves, negotiate with peers, and sit with discomfort long enough for something to emerge. He's not against organized sports or music lessons. He's saying, not too much, and not too early. Before age 10 or 11, children are still in critical phases of imaginative and social play development. When we replace that with coaching and competition, we may be skipping something that can't easily be recovered later. The fourth pillar of simplification is the one parents often find most surprising, and the one that tends to produce the fastest results. It's about filtering the adult world. Payne's observation is straightforward. Children, especially young children, are not equipped to process the concerns of adult life. Not because they're incapable in some permanent way, but because their nervous systems and cognitive development simply haven't reached the stage where they can hold complexity, uncertainty, and open-ended worry without being overwhelmed by it. And yet modern family life routinely exposes children to exactly that. News playing in the background. Adult conversations about finances, health, relationships, or world events happening at the dinner table or in the car. Parents venting their stress to each other within earshot. These aren't acts of neglect, they're often just the texture of normal daily life. But children absorb all of it. He tells the story of a boy named James, around 8 years old, who had developed significant anxiety, difficulty sleeping, physical complaints, ongoing worry that seemed out of proportion to anything in his immediate life. When Payne explored the household carefully, he found that the family had multiple televisions in common areas, that the parents regularly watched the news, and that adult concerns, including discussions about climate change, happened freely in front of James. James had no filter for that information. He couldn't contextualize it or set it down. It just sat in him, generating low-grade dread. The intervention was environmental. The televisions and computers were moved out of common spaces. The parents agreed not to discuss adult concerns in front of James or within his hearing. Within a few weeks, his sleep improved. His anxiety softened. His relationships with peers settled. Nothing dramatic had happened. Something had simply been removed. Payne is careful here. He's not saying children should be kept in a bubble, or that you should pretend the world has no difficulty. He's saying that children need the adult world to be held by the adults. They need to sense that the grown-ups have it, that the worries are being managed somewhere, by someone capable, and that the child doesn't need to carry them. There's a phrase he uses that I find clarifying. He talks about maintaining the boundary between the adult world and the child's world not as secrecy, but as protection. The child's job is to be a child. To play, to learn at their own pace, to develop trust in the people around them. When adult anxiety leaks through that boundary, the child often absorbs it as their own, without the context or capacity to process it. This extends to how we talk to children and how much we talk. Payne spends real time on something he calls the parent types that have quietly become normalized. The sportscaster, narrating the child's every action out loud. The corporate parent, treating every moment as a performance to be assessed and optimized. The little buddy parent, collapsing the adult-child boundary in search of friendship. The clown parent, feeling responsible for entertaining the child at all times. Each of these is loving in intention. And each of them, Payne argues, quietly teaches children that they need external management to function, that their experience must be narrated, graded, or filled. What children need more is the experience of having a feeling, or a moment, or a stretch of time, and discovering that they can hold it themselves. This means talking less, allowing silence, offering a simple observation without immediately turning it into a lesson, sitting with a child who is upset and not rushing to fix the feeling. These feel passive from the outside, but Payne argues they're among the most active things a parent can do. They're teaching a child that their inner experience is real and manageable and theirs. He draws a distinction between a parent who is a base camp and a parent who is a helicopter. A base camp is something a child can leave from and return to. It's secure, reliable, and present. But it doesn't follow. It doesn't hover. It trusts the expedition. A helicopter is always overhead, watchful, intervening, correcting, ensuring. The child under constant surveillance never gets to discover what they can do on their own. These four pillars, environment, rhythm, schedules, and filtering the adult world, form a coherent whole. They're not four separate techniques. They are four expressions of the same underlying shift: trusting childhood to do its work when the conditions are right, rather than trying to engineer every outcome. What makes Payne's approach different from a lot of parenting books is that he builds his case from research and direct clinical work, not just philosophy or anecdote. The ADD and ADHD study is one piece of that. But throughout the book, he draws on decades of working with families across very different contexts, from refugee camps to affluent western suburbs, and the pattern was consistent. When children's environments are simplified, something in them settles. One of the more striking data points involves the dramatic shift in children's free time over the past few decades. Between the early 1980s and the late 1990s, children lost 12 or more hours of unstructured time per week. Homework nearly doubled for the youngest school-age children. And the hours once spent in free play were replaced with organized activities, sports, music lessons, academic enrichment. The intent was good. But what research increasingly shows is that free, unstructured play is not optional leisure. It's the primary mode through which children develop social reasoning, emotional regulation, and creativity. When it disappears, those capacities develop more slowly or less fully. Payne traces the stages of play development, from solitary play in infancy, through parallel play, into cooperative play, then socio-dramatic play, the rich imaginative worlds children build together, and finally games with rules. Each stage builds on the last. When children are moved into rule-based competitive activities before they've inhabited the earlier stages, they can miss foundational experiences that are hard to recover later. He's particularly thoughtful about organized sports. 35% of youth sports participants withdraw every year. 6 to 7% of children who begin organized sports between ages 7 and 18 drop out before high school. He's not opposed to sports. He's saying that when performance and external evaluation arrive before the imaginative foundations are solid, many children quietly disengage. Payne also applies simplification to food, not as nutritional advice, but to note that heavily processed, high-stimulation foods do to appetite regulation something similar to what overstimulating toys do to attention. They raise the threshold. Simple, consistent flavors, offered patiently, he suggests around 8 exposures before concluding a child dislikes something. Gradually recalibrate that. On screens, the numbers are sobering. By age 70, the average American will have spent between 7 and 10 years watching television. 90% of babies are watching screen content by age 2. Payne links heavy early screen use consistently to delayed language development, attention difficulties, and disrupted sleep. His guidance: no screens for children under 7, ideally, and no televisions or computers in children's bedrooms or main living spaces. And for parents, reducing your own news and media consumption may be one of the most effective things you can do for your child's nervous system. Anxiety moves through households atmospherically, not just through content. Simplifying the adult media environment is, indirectly, simplifying the child's. Now for the honest limitations. The first is implementation. Payne gives you the vision clearly. What he gives less of is the granular how. If your child has been in 3 activities for years and you'd like to reduce, he doesn't walk you through that conversation. He tends to trust that if the principle is clear, the application will follow. For some parents that's sufficient. For others, the book stops right where they need it most. The second is access. Much of this book assumes material and logistical flexibility that not every family has. A single parent working long hours can't always build a daily after-school snack ritual. A family in a small apartment can't always redesign their space around these principles. Payne acknowledges this briefly, but the book is written from and for a position of relative stability. That's worth naming. If you're looking for books that go deeper in specific areas, Simplicity Parenting gestures toward but doesn't fully develop, two come to mind. The first is How to Talk So Kids Will Listen, by Adele Faber and Elaine Maslish. Payne's book gives you the conditions for a calmer household: less noise, more rhythm, more space. But once you're in a moment with a child who is struggling, you still need words. You need to know how to acknowledge a feeling without dismissing it, how to set a limit without triggering a fight, how to invite cooperation rather than demand compliance. That's where Faber and Maslish live. The two books work together naturally. Simplicity Parenting gives you the environment. How to Talk gives you the tools for what happens inside it. The second is Peaceful Parent, Happy Kids by Dr. Laura Markham. Where Payne focuses on the external conditions that help children thrive, Markham goes deeper into the parent's internal experience. She's asking, what's happening in you when your child melts down? What does your own nervous system need before you can respond well? Her argument is that the most important thing you can offer your child is a regulated parent. That's not a contradiction of Payne. It's the natural next layer. Read them in sequence and they form something close to a complete picture. So what do you take away from Simplicity Parenting? Not a checklist. Not a set of rules. More of a question to carry with you. Is there something in my child's world that I could reduce? Not everything. Not dramatically or all at once. Payne himself is gentle on this point. He says start small and stay close. Maybe it's one bin of toys removed from the bedroom. Maybe it's one evening a week without screens. Maybe it's committing to dinner at roughly the same time 5 nights out of 7. Maybe it's deciding not to discuss something difficult within earshot of your youngest. The research suggests that even small shifts in this direction move the needle. That what children need most isn't more, delivered more efficiently. It's less, held more steadily. There's something in that worth sitting with as you fall asleep tonight. We live in a world that defaults to more stimulation, more optimization, more doing. Payne is asking us to consider whether, for the children in our care, the most loving thing we can offer is subtraction. Space. Quiet, predictability, the unglamorous, irreplaceable gift of enough room to just be a child. If that idea lands somewhere in you tonight, the book is worth your time. And if you want to go deeper than any summary can take you, the link to grab a copy is below. Sleep well. And we'll see you at Whispering Pages for the next one.